This is Joseph Alexander Van Zandt. Today I will be discussing my hypothesis as to why there seem to be two separate solar systems that are somehow put together. I did a previous video, The Complete Lives of Stars. According to NASA, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory particularly, has sent planetary probes to the established planets in the solar system, to Mercury, to Venus, to Mars. There are probes around Earth, and then to Kuiper's Belt. Kuiper's Belt is some large asteroid chain, or some type of chain around that occurs after Mars. After Mars, you have Jupiter. Jupiter is a gas giant. Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And then Pluto, as according to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the probe that went there has a large moon called Charon. Charon may be another planet. It may be Pluto's moon. It's not clear. It's smaller than Pluto. It's generally thought to be Pluto's moon, although it's also a gas giant. But the point I'm making is that if you take the planets from the sun, our star, until Kuiper's Belt, that is to say Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, they're all rocky planets. They're all at the center of the Earth. It is generally thought that large amounts of iron exist. Earth has an iron core, and most of the weight of the Earth is in its iron core. That seems to be true. That would explain, the gravity that you see on many computer models. At the same time, the reason that is, in my opinion, I did a previous video about this on YouTube, is called The Complete Lives of Stars. In my opinion, what happened is the Earth, our planet, was at once something like the star of the sun. It shone, or it was bright for many years, and there's a certain cycle that is thought to occur. At first, in a star particularly, what is thought to happen is this: you have a large amounts of hydrogen. Hydrogen is heated. There's some type of internal heating process, and then the hydrogen is turned to helium, and then energy is released. Eventually, it's all helium. The helium is then turned to oxygen. Energy is released. You have transformation. You're going from one element to another element. After oxygen, you have bromine, some type of bromide gas. And then after that, you have some type of carbon gas. After that particularly, you have iron forming, the type of iron at the center of the Earth. The sun then has a large amounts of iron. More energy is released. After that, you have gold, platinum, plutonium, uranium, that are formed. This is some type of transformation. This energy is released. You're starting with hydrogen, and you're getting, which is a gas, and you're getting plutonium, uranium, gold at the end of the cycle. Huge amounts of energy is released. At the end, though, you have large amounts of iron. The Earth, as I said previously, the core of the Earth is iron. So in a sense, if you want to explain the fact or the belief in science that the core of the Earth is iron, you have to explain it. My belief is that the Earth was something like the sun. It was a star that shone for many years, and then at the end of its cycle, it became a supernova. It exploded, and it was shown. You'll probably see it many places. After that, it turned into a brown dwarf, something that was very small, and eventually life started on our planet. But, Mercury seems to be the same thing. Venus seems to be the same thing. Mars seems to be the same. There are planetary probes, or Viking 1 and Viking 2 landed on Mars some time ago, I believe in 1976 originally. And then later there are movable probes called rovers, or Spirit, Opportunity, that are on Mars now. One of them has a helicopter. And it sees it's extremely cold there. But one of the things it states is that, or it seems to be, is that Mars is a very cold place, but it's also a very rocky place. It seems to have an iron core, a solid core, something like the Earth. The same thing seems to be true on Mercury and Venus. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics sent many probes to Venus, particularly, and they to an extent they're there, and they turned off, or it's not clear what happened, but the little that you see is Venus. It seems to have a hard core, something like Mars. So, in my opinion, certainly, according to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the Russian, I believe that their space program is called Mir, which is, I believe, the Russian word for peace, or it was at the time. There seemed to be, from after the sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars seem to be rocky planets, seem to be planets with a solid core. After that, you have Kuiper's belt, which is some type of asteroid field, a very large asteroid field. Depending on who you believe, what may be is that Kuiper's belt may have been a planet called Murdoch. Many cultures refer to Murdoch. If you go to Egypt, there are pictures of hawkmen, men with like hawks on them, men with have hawks, some flying men. You see flying bulls in many ancient cultures. There's some association with that, with Murdoch. Babylon is an ancient city. Babylon, to an extent, was rebuilt by Saddam Hussein in the Middle East, apparently before the Gulf War, and there was some archaeological, evidence that Murdoch existed. There were pieces of, there were statues of hawkmen, there were many, some ancient books that were found that referred to them. Babylon apparently had a rich mathematical culture. They have, very accurate calculations of square roots and cube roots. In any case, Kuiper's belt seems to be an asteroid field. After that, you have Jupiter. Jupiter in the infrared is an asteroid, is a star. It shines in the infrared. Saturn is also apparently shines in the infrared, but less than Jupiter does. They're both gas giants. Neptune is a gas giant. Uranus is a gas giant. Pluto is a gas giant. Pluto has a moon, Charon, which is also a gas giant. They're all gas giants, but the gas giants are in the same solar system as the solid. They're separated by Kuiper's belt. At the end of Kuiper's belt, you have Oort's cloud, which is another asteroid field. If you want to explain that the two of them being thrown together, it could be that two galaxies collide. If two galaxies collided, the two solar systems might have been put together in this way. That is my hypothesis, that if you want to explain the two solar systems, our solar system as it exists now, you would have to explain it. One method of explaining is two galaxies collided at the computer model level. That's something that may have occurred. As I said, I did a previous video on my hypothesis called The Complete Lives of Stars to explain the Earth as you see it now. This is Joseph Alexander Van Zandt. Thank you for listening.